start the opening with I don't know how to open.
I played everything with my toes.
It's kind of like we met 5 years ago, and you're just seeing this relationship like truly come into fruition.
When you link with someone and you become friends, or you have certain things in common, like I'm DMing him like, you know, a J. Crew ad that I saw, like, yo, bro, this hat's fire, bro.
You know, I think it all kind of culminated when we did the Montauk joint on your album, and it just was like, you know, every time we get together, people are asking like, when are you guys gonna do a project together? So it just made sense. It was a natural progression from there.
What is Radio Days? What does it mean? How did you guys come up with the concept?
Radio Days was a title that had been floating around in my head for a while that I knew I wanted to use for a couple reasons. It's the title of a classic Woody Allen movie that was shot actually in Rockaway Beach. That movie is about like the classic days of radio where everything was about what was on radio. So that concept kind of resonated with me. Radio was still, you know, the tastemakers and the curators of what was about to be the next big thing. With this album, I wanted to kind of go back to that time, and I think every song on this project either makes direct reference or inadvertent reference to either a song, artist, or a sound or a genre that influenced me when I was 12 or 13 years old.
For me, like on the producer side, I guess, or the DJ side, it's like I'm thinking, and especially what we're making is like to try to come up with that sound of like before hip hop was like, yo, you got backpack and like super underground, and you got like mainstream, where it was just like, yo, this is the hip hop that's coming through, and to like cultivate, not like to copy that sound, but to like, I wanted to give you that feeling of like before it was separated and just give you dope music where it's like genres were overlapping each other, you know, just the instrumentation and just the feel. And that was like a big thing for me, like going in once he gave us that name for the album, like, all right, cool, that's where my head's at. Where can I make that where it's crossover before hip hop had any like dividing, and just like make dope music? That was where I was at, you know what I mean?
At the end of the day, I'm into all the technical aspect of hip hop, and you know, I know everything from the mainstream to the underground, and the underground inspired me to start rapping. But at the same time, you know, I'm still talking about being 11, 12, 13 years old. I still liked Nelly. I like Cannabis and I like Nelly. I like Ludacris and I like Chino XL. So I think about like that dynamic all the time, and it's like, if it wasn't for the mainstream artists that kind of whet my palate and then forced me to go and search for the more underground rappers, I would never have the knowledge I have today. So when I'm making music, I not only want to make something that a hip hop head can love and respect, and they can listen to it and they can say, okay, I know he studied A, B, and C, but I also don't want it to be inaccessible to the average person, because every hip hop head was the average person at one point, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, if I could be that gateway point to bring somebody in to where the light bulb goes off and they go, oh, you know, I never noticed like the technique or the way rappers put their words together, because that was literally what happened to me. Like I heard Big Pun and the light bulb went off, and then I just dove headfirst into like, I need to listen to every rapper that sounds like this, you know, and that's how I discovered, you know, the Chino XLs and the Big L's and the Cannabises and, you know, everybody else. What we accomplished on this album is it walks the fine line between what you would consider commercial and what you would consider underground. It's got bars, it's got lyrics, it's got flows, but there's also content, there's storytelling, there's emotional elements to it, there's hooks, you know what I'm saying? Like we're really trying to bring back song structure. We would get on phone calls, or I would send in playlists. Listen to this, listen to how this song's mixed. You know what I'm saying? And he got it, and he understood it, and he was willing to go where I wanted to go, you know, and I can't necessarily do that with every producer. You know, they're not as open-minded. So like, really the best thing he brought to the table was his willingness to listen to what I had to say and then kind of bring that into the forefront and actualize it, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, for me, I don't know if I want to say like, oh, I've been waiting to have that chance to work with the artist that wants to like do different stuff. And, you know, and not in the experimental, like weird musical way, but like what he's saying, like for me, I make music for people. Like my purpose in life is to make music for people, to heal people. So it's like, for me, I want as many people as I can to hear the music, because I know what music can do for me and do for others. And it's like, you know, naturally I make the underground, the boom bap, or the grimy, or the soulful, that type of stuff. But I have beats that I've made that aren't necessarily that, but they would stay. And then he found those beats in the stash and he's even said, no one else was gonna rap on those.
I was literally going through beats like, I know nobody you're working with right now is choosing this beat. There was like two in particular, right? I mean, basically The Hangover, Fade Away. So,
and then there was one, something like, I think I made like 3, 4, maybe 5 records, because we wanted to like, all right, this is something that we don't do. Like we gotta make something that like you could dance to, but not like a dance record. And that was big. And then it's like, yeah, this whole time, you know, we were just trying to find what's that fine line, and let's dance on both sides of it. Let's not make this and let's not make that, but let's just go, let's have fun with it and see what we can do. And, you know, yeah, when he would call me, I would call him, and I'd be like looking for parking, or, you know, going home looking for parking at 1 in the morning. He's at the crib, he's like, yo, I got this idea. And I was like, all right, cool. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, but I'm just looking for parking.
And it was just exciting.
Yeah, it was dope.
It was just fun. It was fun. And I think we had fun, and people that have heard Neff's production before this and people that have heard my albums before this, I think there's a lot of surprises on here. I think it shows a significant amount of growth, you know, from like what we've done in the past.
For sure, and branching out, yeah, definitely.
If you had to take one track and you were like, this is it, this is the one.
For me, it's Fade Away, to be honest.
What is it about Fade Away?
Fade Away is like, I mean, we've talked about it, you know, with this, it's for me the most like left field track that I've ever made. And I personally think, like, it wasn't a single, but like I have a lot of confidence in that track. It's a track, it's like for me, I always say it's like a blue collar track. Like anybody that has ever worked a job or ever just lived in the normal day-to-day life in the world, I feel like can get something out of it. And it encompasses that, like that grind, the family life, the like, I gotta do this. It just encompasses all of that, and it's somewhere for people just to like I said, go escape. And yeah, it's something that I've never done before musically in that sense. I don't know about for you, Bobby.
No, I love Fade Away. It was definitely a song I don't want to say scared, but I was like apprehensive about putting out, because it's like, you know, you make stuff kind of, well, I make stuff in like a solitary environment, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I know I like this. Are the people that follow me gonna like it? You know what I'm saying? But I think one thing I've learned, it's like, if a song makes you feel like that, you should probably put it out, because it might impact somebody, you know, the same way. And the song, you know, again, like I said before, every song on the album makes reference to something from my childhood. And that song, you know, clearly inspired by like, you know, like an Everlast or like a Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, you know what I'm saying? And that was a very pivotal album for me, you know, the way he blended singing with break beats and kind of took a whole new direction, you know what I'm saying? Just in terms of how he put his music together in comparison to what he was doing with House of Pain. Like I remember loving that, you know what I mean? And I think goes back to what I was saying before. It shows versatility. It shows I'm not just somebody that, number one, just listens to rap.
Right.
I listen to multiple genres of music, and I try to put everything that, you know, influences me into my music. So it's just another side of who I am. And, you know, I'm trying to show growth as a songwriter. You know what I mean? I think every day I'm getting better at writing songs. But my favorite song on
Yeah,
the
what's
album?
your favorite song? That's mine. I mean, I love them all, but if I have to pick, I'm gonna go with that
I
one.
don't know, it changes a lot. The Hangover means a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, that's a real personal song, you know what I'm saying? I think I grew up in a neighborhood where, you know, you start drinking alcohol at 13, 14 years old, and you're a seasoned drinker by the time you're 19, 18, 19. Everything I did that was fun growing up revolved around alcohol. So it's like alcohol has been something that's been part of my life since I'm a teenager. You know, I got a brother who's about 8 years sober at this point. And, you know, like I just really wrote that song from a real place, like drinking, waking up, feeling like shit. You know, in the moment, it feels good. The hangover, every time you wake up and you feel terrible, you're like, is it worth it to keep doing this? You know what I mean? It's like that constant struggle. And it's not a judgmental song. It's literally something like just me kind of telling how it is, you know, like my experience, like at this point in my life. Because, you know, when I was younger, I made songs glorifying drinking. Now it's like I'm 35, it's starting to catch up. So, you know, I wanted to make a song that wasn't like on a soapbox or a high horse, just literally telling it like it is. Like, I think when I recorded it, I was hungover at that point. So when you hear like the gruff in my voice and like I kind of sound like I'm losing my voice, it's because of that, you know what I mean? So it was just me at a real moment. I had that beat and I was just feeling, you know, a certain way emotionally that day, and I just went and it kind of got captured perfectly. So that's the most personal song on the album for me, but it's hard to pinpoint. Like my favorite changes from day to day to day.
Why Neff for this album? I mean, you said that this album was kind of like a culmination of what you've gone through in your life.
I think everything is just timing. Like I don't, there was no, we just started making music. Like it wasn't, you know, as much as the title was floating around in my head, like there wasn't a whole lot of premeditation. Like, all right, we're gonna have a song like this, we're gonna have a song like this, we're gonna have a song like this. It really just started to take shape naturally. Like I think I did Mind, Body, and Soul first, and then it just kind of evolved from there. You know what I mean? And as the sound started to come together, as one song turned into 3 songs, a vibe started to build, and it was like, all right, well, we should do something like this, or you know what I'm saying, or I should make a song, you know, telling a story, or you know, reminiscent of something like this, and you know, it really just happened organically. Like honestly, it was a happy accident, you know. But again, I think it couldn't have been any other producer besides Neff, because at this point, Neff just understands me on a personal level and on a artist level that a lot of other producers I work with don't know that side of me yet. So, you know, sometimes if I'm working with a producer, you know, my first inclination when I do a song with them is to prove that I can rap. So I'm gonna do the song where I'm just like super lyrical, like just so that they know like I mean business. I'm not necessarily gonna do a song like Fade Away or a song like The Hangover or a song like Something Like, you know what I mean? Like we're in a groove at this point where I know if it's not good, it's not gonna leave the studio, and he's not gonna be judgmental about it. You know, there's a couple songs that didn't make the album that just didn't work, you know what I mean? So I think there's gotta be a certain level of comfortability between artist, producer, where it's like, okay, I can let my guard down now and try and experiment with different things that maybe I wouldn't have done when I first met him. You know what I'm saying? Like now we're just at a point in our friendship where, you know, I can pretty much go wherever I want, and I know he's gonna get it, you know, so.
And and like, I agree with what you're saying, and there's also like a couple Like, man, he would call me, you would call me, and I remember like coming back from seeing family in Maine and stuff like that, and you would be like, yo, I got this idea. And there would be times where I'd be like, oh, okay, that's dope. And there would be times where I'd be like, no, absolutely not. Like, there was one idea where I was like, no, absolutely not, I'm sorry. And then you're like, come on, what about this? And I was like, if we do X, Y, and Z. And then it was like, you know,
what it was?
There was like, I think you wanted me to like mash up 2 songs into one and like just really do like some DJ stuff, but like not even really make the beat, and you were like, I want to do this song and then it's gonna lead into this song, like you want some DJ stuff. I was like, I see where you're going, but we can do that in our own way. And how about, and it was like, you know, we come up with like compromise. Yeah. And it was, but that was the thing, like you got, like what he said, let your guard down, like you gotta come up with these ideas and be like, yo, this is dope, because maybe that's how something might happen. You know what I mean?
It's like there's nothing wrong with trying it out. You know, if it doesn't work, it never has to leave the studio. Right. You know, I think so many artists are just afraid to try something different because it might not work, it might fail, you know. But you know, you didn't care, you know, you were pretty much willing to do whatever I wanted, you know, and you always took the idea to the next level, always added your input, and always brought it to life. So
that's what we gotta do. Where we at?